What's going on, everybody? So let me clean the lens off first because we're disgusting right now. Because our camera's been doing nothing but collecting dust lately because we've been so busy in the shop. And I'm going to show you that we've been busy in the shop. But everything has been crazy with the holiday, with everything else that was going on, plus all the crap that's been going on with vehicles coming in. And 'tis the time of the year where everybody realizes that all of the maintenance items that they put off all summer are now coming back to haunt them as it starts getting colder. So we're doing batteries, we're doing suspension work, we're doing all kinds of stuff, and it's big stuff. People are dropping off blank checks along with their car and saying do whatever it needs, get it ready for the winter. So we've been kind of going crazy, and I think I'm going to start filming a lot more of that stuff because what happens is the fabrication jobs don't come in as often as the general maintenance stuff does. So, and apparently, you know, on my channel, a lot of the general repair stuff seems to be getting a ton of views. So you know what? If I can teach you guys some about fabrication and some about general maintenance on vehicles and how to troubleshoot and things of that nature, then, you know, maybe that's something we need to start doing on the channel. So I think we're going to start doing that. Today, though, we have a bit of a dilemma in the shop. And the dilemma is that you can't walk in here without tripping on something. Now, let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So we got the dumpster pulled out just so we could throw some stuff away, but we have got not so bad here and not really so bad here, but as you start moving, we got a pile of dirt there that we didn't clean up yet. We have all the shelving here that we're still trying to get rid of. This is where it starts getting bad. We've got all the stuff from oil changes, air filter changes. That was just the overflow from the garbage can. Then you move forward and we got some more boxes. We got an old skid plate from the Jeep job that we did. We got some engine mounts hanging out over there for the Prelude. We've got the fab area. Now, I'm almost embarrassed to show you guys this, but this has been 1, 2, 3, 4 jobs deep now, where every job required some sort of hammering, torching, you name it. So take a look at this, guys. This is the current state of my bench. Absolutely horrendous, and this was from doing all of the control arm mounts for the Toyota. We have the porta power sitting down there half open, and you can actually see a control arm from the Toyota right there, upper control arm. And then, good God, just garbage everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's something to freaking trip over. This is so horrid. So what we're going to be doing today, and you guys are going to come along with me for a little bit. Then I got an idea of what we're going to do for the rest of the video. So, yeah, you know what? Let's get into it. Let's clean the shop. Alright guys, so here we are so far. We managed to get all of this stuff cleaned up. This whole area. We got all the tables cleaned off, and the best part about this whole thing is this guy right here. The bench is completely empty. Now we can actually do stuff. So, what we got to work on next is all out here. So we got a bigger pile now. We got a full garbage can again. And we got all the stuff along the walls that needs to be cleaned up and put away. And then we have this entire gaggle of tools and lots of tools that needs to be put into that thing I paid a whole ton of money for, but never has any of my tools in it. So we're gonna do that. Alright guys, so I hope you're ready for this. The shop cleaning always seems to turn into a complete rearrange. Like that. I wish this camera was a little bit wider, but with these shelves in place now, I got rid of the majority of the stuff that was on that wall. This shelving is leaving at some point soon. So what we did was we took the toolbox from there, which opened up that whole area significantly. Put it over there, which is where I had it pretty much when I first moved in. So it's so funny that stuff keeps going back. Move the press down a little bit, move those two down a little bit, and we're a little close right here, but we'll have to see how that goes when I actually have a car in here, because the car usually sits right about there somewhere, or maybe up there. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I think that's where I'm going to call it tonight, because everything is pretty well cleaned up. The dumpster's back in its place. Swept up the whole floor, got everything clean, moved back to where it's supposed to be, got all the tools put away, cart's empty. So I think we're doing good. So yeah, on to that next part of the video that I told you guys about, because cleaning is boring. Alright guys, so now that we got the shop cleaned up, we're going to go over something that I get questioned on constantly. So I know a lot of the guys that watch my channel are some younger guys, and all of you guys are wondering, you know, what welder should I buy? What MIG welder should I buy? I'm looking to get into welding. Here's what I'm doing. Well, I'm going to answer that question today. And I'm going to answer it because I get it a lot. And the reason I get it a lot is because there are now so many options out there. I mean, back, you know, even 10 or 15 years ago, you literally had Miller, Lincoln, ESAB, and a few off brands that you could pick up at your local hardware stores that were nothing great. So you were kind of stuck with Lincoln and Miller because that's what everybody had stocked at the time. Now you have countless options. You have Harbor Freight, you have Home Depot carries some stuff, you have Lincoln stuff available through Walmart. I mean, you have Miller stuff available, you have Everlast, you have Vulcan, you have ESAB, Fronius. I mean, there's just so many out there now. And it can get extremely, extremely confusing because you've got flux core MIG welders, you've got gas MIG welders, you've got, ones with electronic screens, you have ones with auto set, you have ones that are touted as being the best beginner welder because of, X, Y, and Z. So what we're going to do today, we're going to go over basically 4 brands that I've had experience with. We're going to go over the plus and minuses of those brands, and I'm going to put pictures of each one of those as I'm talking about them so that you guys can get a feel for what you think is going to be the best welder for you. So what we're going to start out with is basically, I want to address the flux core versus gas wire welding. Now, flux core welding is great in the sense that you don't need a gas bottle, you don't need a gas regulator, you don't need the hose, you don't need a cart to carry it all. You can basically have a flux core portable 110 volt MIG welder. Now, that's all well and good. And as a beginner, you might think you need to go that route because you don't need the gas, you save a little bit of money, whatever. However, I can tell you from personal experience, if you're looking to get into welding, MIG welding especially, do not buy a flux core only welder. Now, mainly I see these being purchased from Harbor Freight. They have one that is actually, you know what, I'm sitting right next to the computer. Let me check that one right now, and I'll put it up on the screen for you so that you can see it too. But what you're going to end up with is a welder that is not going to grow with you. And I say that because when you're ready to start doing much more intricate welds and cleaner welds and things of that nature, you're going to want something that has gas shielding. It's just simply that way. Now you can get, there it is, the flux core MIG welder from Harbor Freight is $114. So that's not too bad, and that's entry level. You can take $100, go down to Harbor Freight with a coupon and buy this welder. The problem with it is you will always be limited to flux core only, and there are some people, I'm not one of them, who can make beautiful flux core welds. However, when you're ready to get to that point where you're going to sit down, you're going to buy yourself a little welding table, you're going to start welding exhaust pipes, and you're going to start welding, maybe you're doing artwork or things of that nature, you're going to want a gas shielded welder. So my recommendation for you is to buy a gas shielded welder. Spend a little bit more money, get one that is capable of handling gas. Now remember, even a gas shielded welder can run flux core wire. All you have to do is simply reverse the polarity of your electrode, and you can run flux core wire in a gas shielded welder. So keep that in mind when you're purchasing a welder. Now the next best welder on Harbor Freight would be probably the Mig Max 140 by Vulcan. It's $649, but it's an amazing welder. Absolutely, and I'll put that one on the screen too. The Mig Max 140 Industrial is 120 volt input. It's a gas shielded welder. It comes with everything you need. Comes with the regulator, it comes with the torch, it comes with the hoses and the cables and everything else. Even comes with wire. So $649, you'll never have to buy another MIG welder again unless you start doing bigger and better things. If you start doing thicker metals, this one's probably good for about 3/16 or 1/8 inch. You won't need to buy anything else. That welder will last you 10 years or more. So $114, and you're going to run past the flux core welder's capabilities in a month, and then you're going to have to buy another welder anyway. So the Vulcan is a good option at $649, a very good option at $649. I can honestly recommend it. I've used it. I've had experience with it. It welds great. It's small, it's lightweight, it's portable, it's 120 volts. So if you wanted to, you could literally take this welder off of your cart, put some flux core wire in it, take it out in the field, run it off a generator, do whatever you want to do with it, or just run it in your home garage on flux core until you're ready to step up to gas. Then you can just, all you have to do is buy a bottle at that point. Now, the next welder that I want to talk about is Everlast, and let me just go to their website because it's easier for me to give you guys the specs and everything on these. And by the way, that Vulcan is a 140 amp machine, and it is good for 1/8 inch. So let's see what Everlast has to offer. Now, Everlast, obviously you guys know that I use my Everlast TIG welder, my water-cooled TIG welder, all the time, every day. Hands down, probably one of the best welders I've ever owned. Now, here's where things get interesting, because you can buy an Everlast, and this is actually a super good deal. The base model Power iMig 140E, which is also a 140 amp machine from Everlast, comes with a 5-year warranty, and it's $319. So $319, you get a DC MIG welder with all the accessories, the gas regulator, all the hosing, all the cables, everything. And this one also runs on 120 volt input. So you have a maximum capability of 140 amps. You get the same basic 1/8 inch, the 1/8 inch rating on it. Let me just make sure. Yeah, you can do 1/8 inch with this. Now, what gets me about the Everlast welders and why I love these things so much is the duty cycle. The duty cycle on this welder at 70 amps is 100%. So duty cycle is going to be where it's at. If you're doing a ton of long beads, then you're going to want this particular welder because the duty cycle is so insane. So at about half of its rated capacity, it'll run 100%. And then, of course, you know, the Harbor Freight one, you don't necessarily get the specs on duty cycle because that's just how they are. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so the Everlast welder has an amazing duty cycle. And the best part about it is it's $319. So if you're welding in your house or you're welding on your car, anything that you're going to need to do on an automobile, you can get by with a 140 amp welder. I built an entire rock crawling Jeep with a 140 amp Miller. So I would, me personally, if I had to choose what I was going to go with, I would definitely go with Everlast. And the other nice thing about Everlast too is they have financing options on their website directly from Everlast. So you can finance these welders. So if you don't have $319, you can finance it and pay a couple bucks a month on it. And again, duty cycle at 70 amps, you get 100% duty cycle. When it starts getting a little bit higher at 90 amps, you have a 60% duty cycle. And at full boat, 140 amps, you have 25% duty cycle, which is still phenomenal. So this welder is really going to be the one that gets you what you need and the one that's going to be, you know, your best bet, I think, overall. Now, you want to step up your game a little bit. We've talked about the Harbor Freight Flux Core welder, the Vulcan MIG welder, and now the Everlast welder. The last one that we're going to talk about is the Miller. And the reason I want to talk about the Miller is because I own one. And I have the 211 auto set, which is a 211 amp. It'll do dual 110 and 240 volt. So you're good there. You have some versatility. But when it comes to the beginning, you have the Millermatic 141 MIG, which is their entry-level piece. The only problem with Miller is it's a great welder, but there is a price tag that comes along with it. The Miller is going to be your most expensive option. And right now it's running at about $850 on Cyberweld, which is where I buy all my stuff. Again, I'll put an image of this one here with the pricing. But this one is going to be probably your go-to for entry-level high-end welders per se. Now, in my experience, I haven't noticed any difference between Everlast and Miller. The Miller is a nice welder and it works great, and I've had excellent luck. I had a Miller 140, I had a Miller the 211, I've had several Miller. I had a Miller Diversion TIG. Great machines, great support, but I don't know that they're generally worth the price tag. You know, you're talking an Everlast, which has the same duty cycle rating, has the same features, has the same everything, and it's $300. The miller is almost $900 by the time you get done with shipping. So my thought to you guys, if I were to make a recommendation to someone just starting out in welding, my recommendation would have to be the Everlast. Hands down, the Everlast. $319. You can finance it. It's a gas shielded welder that you can run flux core in. You can run wire sizes all the way from 0.023 all the way up to 0.040, I believe, which is, you know, most of your flux cores are 35 and 40 thousandths. And you're going to have a great time with it because you can grow with that welder. You can literally weld anything with it except for aluminum, obviously. But you can weld any kind of ferrous metals with it. You can, you know, weld up to 8 inch thick with a little effort and some heat input. So, you know, for what you guys are probably going to try to do when you first start welding is, you know, just randomly sticking pieces of metal together and maybe fixing exhaust systems and, you know, maybe doing a little bit of body work with it, maybe doing something. It's all going to be light duty when you first start welding. You're not going to move right to doing structural steel. So the Everlast 140 is going to be your go-to welder, in my opinion. If you want to spend the money, spend it right. Go with Everlast. You're going to get a good product. Now, if you're one of those guys that has to have the best of the brand name type stuff, and you want a welder that's going to last you for the rest of your life and you're totally content, then buy the miller. Spend the $850, get the miller. Know that you've got the backing of a great company. You've got the backing of a great welder. You've got great service. And that. So that's my recommendation. And you know what? I'm going to give you guys one more little thing of why I like the Everlast stuff over the miller stuff at this point. When you break your miller welder, which can happen, I've never broken one, but when they do break, you have to send the whole welder off to miller. They repair it, they send it back to you, and that ends up, you know, downtime. So if you're in a state where you're producing things and you need to have that welder ready to go like I do, I can't afford to send my welder out, have it repaired, and then send it back, because that could be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever it may be. With Everlast, when you call them up and you say, hey, I'm having this problem, 9 times out of 10, they'll say, oh, yeah, well, it's just this board. We'll send you the board if you feel comfortable fixing your own machine. So if you're any way, shape, or form mechanically or electronically inclined, Everlast will send you the piece you need to fix your machine and allow you to fix it yourself. So that's one of the great parts about Everlast. So as far as welding goes, let's just recap a little bit. Do not buy a flux core only welder. You will outgrow it in probably a month. 2, get yourself a good gas shielded wire feed MIG, such as the Everlast. 3, as soon as you get it, weld until you can no longer weld anymore. Waste as much wire as you want, waste as much gas as you want. You're going to spend a little bit of money, but that's how you learn. You have got to blow through wire like it's going out of style in order to learn how to weld properly. 4, watch some videos on YouTube. I recommend my videos, obviously, or Jody from weldingtipsandtricks.com, or Justin from the Fabricator series. There's a whole bunch of them out there. All right, so go down in the description. You're going to see links to purchase the 4 welders that I mentioned. I recommend the Everlast. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We got the shop cleaned up finally. Everything's looking good. And, yeah, you know what? We'll see you on the next one. I got a CRV coming in today that burned up a belt or something. So maybe we'll video that one and we'll make that a video for tomorrow. But enjoy today's video. I hope that helps you guys out with selecting a welder for, you know, your first welder. I get that question constantly, and I just wanted to address it. So have a great day, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all the fun stuff. You know how to do it. And I will see you guys on the next one. Have a great day.